Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Laura.
We're a Canadian and a Californian on a journey that's taken us 8 years of our lives to prepare for. We were going to be traveling the world in our 1960s steel Ketch in order to do some scuba diving, spearfishing, free diving, and some kite surfing.
Yeah, and we hope to make it possible for people to follow in our footsteps. So we plan to document as much as we can anchorages, places that we found that were worth visiting, or places that weren't quite as desirable as we once thought, so that people can actually follow along.
So we always wanted to sail the world, and in January in 2009, we found this boat. It was a boat that could actually do it, a boat made for world traveling. Unfortunately, it was actually sinking at the time, but fortunately, that meant that we could afford it. So we decided to buy her and spend the next number of years fixing her up and saving our money so that we could make the trip happen.
And last year, 2016, our time frame got a little jumbled. Our work reality shifted. And so we decided, instead of waiting 10 to 15 years and retiring early, that we would try to leave as soon as possible and muster the money we had to make it happen.
Yeah, so we shifted into hyperdrive and started figuring out what we needed to do to make that work. We sold our place in Houston. We moved back onto the boat in the San Francisco Bay Area, and then started the list of all the things that had to be done.
And any of you guys who know boaters, boats are never ready. We will never leave if you wait until it's fully ready. So there's plenty more to do, but we got our boat ready enough. And we set a date that it was the best weather window in the time frame that we had. And we had a really sweet send-off with a bunch of friends, and here we are.
Tell me about your day yesterday.
The day was awesome.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It started so sweet. We had a huge send-off. A bunch of friends and a bunch of boat neighbors came by. We were handed champagne and orange juice and books and lots of hugs and love.
We had way more people than we were expecting. I think
Yeah.
we were expecting 2 people, and there was
well over
20.
a dozen. Yeah.
So it was pretty heartwarming.
Yeah.
Really kind of special.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was time to go. And basically the next thing that happened, we kind of took off in the fog. Good classic San Francisco send off.
Yeah. We also had friends escort us out in their boat, so that was really lovely. They came all the way out the gate, and we were taking photos, and we were going right next to each other, super close, and it was such a sweet send off. Yeah.
What happened after you got out the gate?
So we went out to the first channel markers and hung a left so we could head south, and motored a little bit, and then decided that there was enough wind, which wasn't a lot. Most of the day was pretty quiet, so we were grabbing at straws, trying to say, okay, this is going to be enough wind. And actually, I'm going to backtrack a little bit and set a little bit more of the stage, because originally, when we were planning this whole trip, we had tons of sailing shakedowns set. We were going to do days in the bay, we were going to go out the gate, we were going to go out to Half Moon Bay, up to Drake's, shake everything down so that everything would be rock solid when we left.
Yeah, and we had 12 days planned in January alone of shakedown.
Yeah, and that was before we kind of took into account the wettest and nastiest January, well, maybe just the wettest January that California's had in years, maybe 1,000 years, I think. And I can hear some people say, well, can't you sail in the rain? The downside with the rain in California winter is you either have no wind or too much wind, and it makes it so that it doesn't really help you shake anything down. It either just is hard on the boat, or there's not enough wind to really do anything except motor around and get wet and miserable. So there's not really a whole lot of point. So when we left yesterday, we had done, I think, 2 shakedowns on the bay in about 5 to 10 knots of wind. And we called that good enough. That's good enough for us.
Yeah, because you got to leave, you got to commit. So we did.
In order to get out, we said, all right, this is it, we're leaving. So now that we've set that stage, we get out and we raise the main, and with the boat, since there's not much wind and some swell, we're flopping back and forth, and the sail is kind of flogging, and it immediately rips out the reef block on the boom, and a nice heavy block that is now flapping around on the reef line. So we had to kind of reel that in and pull that line and get that block down underway. Thankfully, nobody got hurt, and it didn't break anything. Actually, I think show and tell.
Show and tell.
This guy.
This guy was swinging around, so whatever.
Yeah.
But it didn't, and it's good to find out now, so that I can kind of go through and check everything else. The problem is that these old rivets have corroded. They're probably 50 years old, so they just need to be drilled out. I have new rivets here on the boat. I've got a rivet gun, and it doesn't take that much time. Just doing. Oh, hell yeah! Love it! Alright, so the autopilot just shut off again. Not really sure, it doesn't feel that hot, but our solution for now is give it a little bit of shade, and then a little bit of airflow, and we'll let it rest for a little bit, and then try it again. See if I can get the there you can kind of see one of the belts has just shredded itself for the water pump. Back and through, serpentine belt runs the alternator, everything. So I'm going to have to disconnect. Probably have to disconnect the 24-volt alternator, and then move that out of the way, and then figure out to put that back on. So yeah, a little excitement for us here. We'll see how long this takes.
Leaving the dock without doing proper shakedown sales means that you'll be finding all of your issues while underway. Luckily, we're good figure-outers, and we decided we'd rather do all this while working our way south towards warmer weather. So Mark just pulled out the spares, replaced the belts, and we were on our way in just over an hour.
After that, it was a steady trip all the way to Long Beach. We rounded Point Conception under calm conditions and then motored into the fog near Santa Cruz Island.
Gratefully, all of our issues got resolved and we were able to settle into a normal rhythm of watches and meals and getting sleep wherever we could.
We really learned to love our radar. Sometimes the fog was so thick you couldn't see 2 boat lengths ahead.
The fog was super thick on the final approach into Long Beach. We never even saw the breakwater as we cruised past it going into the marina. Once we tied up, we then settled in for some well-deserved margaritas.